Have you ever noticed how some people seem to navigate life with a quiet confidence, making sound decisions and building strong relationships, while others seem stuck in a cycle of frustration and confusion? The difference often comes down to one simple yet profound quality: self-awareness. Most people believe they are self-aware. If you ask them, they'll confidently say, "Of course I know myself." But research, and perhaps your own observations, tell a different story. True self-awareness is remarkably rare. One study suggested that while 95% of people think they're self-aware, only about 10 to 15% actually are. This enormous gap isn't just a quirky statistic. It's a silent force that shapes the entire landscape of our lives. It dictates the quality of our relationships, the wisdom of our choices, and the trajectory of our success and failure. The person who lacks it is like a ship without a rudder, tossed about by the winds of emotion and circumstance. But the person who cultivates it holds the map and the compass, capable of charting their own course. What if you could move from one group to the other? What if you could truly see yourself, not as you wish you were, but as you are? This journey inward is the most important one you will ever take. So, what is self-awareness, really? It's a term we hear all the time, but its true meaning is often misunderstood. Many people confuse self-awareness with self-criticism. They think it's about constantly judging themselves, listing their flaws, or dwelling on past mistakes. But that's not it at all. That's just self-judgment in disguise, a way of beating yourself up that leads to shame, not growth. True self-awareness is something much more neutral, much more powerful. It is the ability to observe your own thoughts, emotions, and reactions from a distance, without immediately getting entangled in them. It's like being the scientist of your own mind, watching the data of your inner world without rushing to a conclusion or a judgment. Think of it this way: when you feel a surge of anger, the default human response is to become the anger. It consumes you. You act from it, speak from it, and see the world through its fiery lens. The self-aware person, however, feels the same surge of anger, but is able to step back and say, there is anger. I feel it in my chest. My heart is beating faster. What triggered this? They don't deny the feeling, but they don't identify with it either. They observe it. This gap between feeling and reacting is where the magic happens. Most of us live with no gap at all. An event happens and we react instantly, almost automatically. Our reactions are driven by old habits, deep-seated beliefs, and emotional triggers we're not even conscious of. We get defensive in conversations, procrastinate on important tasks, or seek validation from others, all without truly understanding why. We are on autopilot. Self-awareness is the act of turning that autopilot off. It's about cultivating the habit of reflection before reaction. It's the quiet, internal pause that asks, why am I feeling this way? What's the story I'm telling myself right now? Is this reaction truly serving me? This isn't about second-guessing yourself into paralysis. It's about gathering information so you can respond with intention instead of just reacting from impulse. It's the difference between being a passenger in your own life and being the driver. If self-awareness is so beneficial, why is it so rare? The answer lies deep within our brain's ancient programming. Our minds are built with a powerful, almost primal defense system designed to protect one thing above all else: our identity. We all have a story we tell ourselves about who we are. I'm a good person. I'm smart. I'm a hard worker. This story, this ego, is the foundation of our sense of self, and the brain will fight ferociously to protect it from anything that threatens it. Imagine you receive some critical feedback at work. Someone suggests your approach to a project was flawed. For many people, the instant, gut-level response isn't curiosity, it's defense. The brain interprets this feedback not as data, but as an attack on the identity story of "I am competent." And so the ego's defense mechanisms kick in. First, there's explaining. Well, the reason it happened that way was because of this and this. Then comes justifying. Anyone in my position would have done the same thing. And finally, if all else fails, there's blaming. It wasn't my fault, it was because my team didn't support me, or the instructions were unclear. These are all tactics designed to shield the ego from the uncomfortable truth that maybe, just maybe, we made a mistake. Self-awareness directly threatens this entire system. To be truly self-aware is to be willing to look at the evidence, even when it contradicts the story we cherish. It requires us to admit, I was wrong, or my reaction was unfair, or I'm feeling insecure right now. This is incredibly difficult because it feels like a threat to our very being. The ego would rather maintain a comfortable fiction than confront a difficult reality. It is a survival instinct that served us well in ancient times, but often sabotages our growth in the modern world. So when we avoid self-reflection, we're not being lazy. We're obeying a deep-seated instinct to protect our psychological identity at all costs. Overcoming this requires courage. The courage to let go of the story you've been telling yourself and embrace the more complex and ultimately more liberating truth. Beyond the ego's defenses, there's another powerful reason why most people avoid the deep work of self-awareness. It creates responsibility. As long as you are unaware of your own patterns, you have a built-in excuse. You can blame your short temper on a stressful day. You can blame your procrastination on being too busy. You can blame your unhealthy relationship patterns on bad luck. Unawareness is a shield that deflects responsibility. It allows you to see yourself as a victim of circumstance, a passive recipient of whatever life throws at you. The moment you become truly self-aware, that shield shatters. When you recognize that your anger stems from a fear of not being in control, you can no longer just blame traffic. You become responsible for managing that fear. When you see that your procrastination is a way to avoid the fear of failure, you can no longer just blame your schedule. You become responsible for confronting that fear. Self-awareness removes excuses. It places the power, and therefore the responsibility, squarely in your hands. This can be a terrifying prospect. Responsibility is heavy. It means you can no longer wait for someone else to fix your problems or for your circumstances to magically change. You are the one who has to do the work. And in our modern world, there are endless opportunities to avoid this heavy lifting. Distraction is the currency of our time. We can scroll through social media feeds, binge-watch shows, or fill every silent moment with noise. These distractions are not just entertainment, they are an escape. They are an escape from the quiet, sometimes uncomfortable space where self-reflection happens. It feels so much easier to get a quick dopamine hit from a notification than to sit with the difficult question of why you feel unfulfilled. It feels easier to numb our anxieties with entertainment than to honestly investigate their source. In the short term, distraction is always easier than honesty. But in the long term, it is a cage, keeping us from the freedom and control that only true self-knowledge can provide. So how do people who have cultivated this rare skill actually think? What does it look like in practice? It's not a mystical state of enlightenment, it's a set of practical, repeatable mental habits. First, self-aware people are excellent pattern watchers. They pay attention to their recurring thoughts, feelings, and behaviors. They might notice, every time I have a deadline approaching, I start picking fights with my partner. That's a pattern. Or, when I feel insecure in a social setting, I tend to talk too much and dominate the conversation. That's a pattern. They don't just experience these things once and forget them. They connect the dots over time, seeing their behaviors not as isolated incidents, but as part of a larger system. Second, they master the pause. This is perhaps the most critical habit. When something challenging happens, a stressful email, a critical comment, a moment of failure, their first instinct is not to react, but to pause. Even if it's just for a single deep breath, that pause creates a space between the stimulus and their response. In that space, they can choose how to act rather than being driven by pure emotion. This is the difference between saying something you'll regret in the heat of the moment and choosing to say, I need a minute to think about this. Finally, self-aware people learn to separate their emotions from their identity. They understand that feeling sad doesn't make them a sad person. Feeling angry doesn't make them an angry person. They see emotions as transient visitors, information passing through them, not a permanent part of who they are. They can say, I am experiencing a feeling of anxiety instead of I am anxious. This subtle shift in language reflects a profound shift in perspective. It allows them to observe and manage their feelings without being consumed by them. This isn't suppression. It's not about pretending the feelings aren't there. It's about creating a healthy distance that gives them clarity and control. By noticing patterns, pausing before reacting, and unhooking their identity from their emotions, they build a foundation of inner stability that is unshakable. So what is the ultimate advantage of all this hard work? It's a common misconception that self-awareness will magically make all your problems disappear or make life easy. It won't. You will still face challenges, experience setbacks, and feel difficult emotions. Life will still be life. The true advantage of self-awareness is not that it makes life easier, but that it makes it clearer. Without self-awareness, you're stumbling through a fog. You don't understand why you do what you do, why you feel what you feel, or why you keep getting the same results. You're constantly surprised and frustrated by your own reactions and the situations you find yourself in. With self-awareness, the fog begins to lift. You start to see the cause and effect in your own life. You understand the why behind your actions. You see how your inner world creates your outer world. This clarity is transformative. When you're clear on why you procrastinate, you can build systems to overcome it. When you're clear on what your relationship triggers are, you can communicate them and build healthier connections. When you're clear on your values, making difficult decisions becomes simpler. Clarity gives you agency. It gives you choice. It replaces confusion with understanding and helplessness with empowerment. You're no longer a mystery to yourself. This doesn't guarantee happiness every moment of every day, but it gives you the tools to navigate the complexities of life with intention, grace, and a quiet, unshakable confidence. And that clarity, that ability to see yourself and the world without illusion, changes everything. Thank you for joining me on this reflection. If this resonated with you, consider subscribing for more journeys into the mind.